Hello and welcome to the Red Menace. I'm not going to say the usual intro bit this week because it is a momentous occasion.
A very special occasion.
Very special. Because we have finally reached episode 69. That's right. It's the sex number. We did it.
We made it to this number. We've got no other achievements to get to until we get to 420, which is a long way down the track.
Which is like 9 years of podcast.
That's 9 years of content, and that's less likely than one in a bit. So
it's intimidating, I'll say that much.
It's a long way to go.
I feel like my microphone will burn out before we reach that point.
Look, I feel like my life will burn out before we reach that point. So.
I've already crossed that line.
Okay. Well, that's okay then.
Why do you think I'm here making... Why do you think I've been making 69 jokes for a year and a half in preparation for this episode?
Well, that's true. That's true.
And I'm really excited because I'm going to celebrate our 69th episode by doing maybe the least sexy thing a human being can possibly do, which is that I want to finish recording this episode as soon as possible because the new Pokemon game comes out at midnight and I want to play it with our intern Marianne. So that's my day plan. So
basically, I'm just here to stave you over until Pokemon comes out. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what you're trying to imply?
Isn't it such like an incredibly sensual experience for everyone
incredibly
involved?
Incredibly so. I mean, yeah, when we finish doing this podcast, I'm probably going to sweep up the hair that's on my floor, that shed out of my head. So that's also a very sensual experience.
So I just think it's really important that everybody in the audience know just like how sexy yours and my lives are.
Yeah,
and just
exactly,
like how cool.
Exactly.
How much we embody the spirit of 69ing. In that it's one of those things where when you look at it from afar, you're like, oh wow, that seems pretty hip and cool. But then when you actually try and do it, you kind of end up with someone's knees in your face, and it's just not. No one has a good time.
No one likes knees. Knees just aren't a thing that people enjoy.
No, I like breathing.
Sure. Breathing's in general quite a good thing to do.
So I tasked you this week. I feel that generally our vibe is that you're the pure and innocent one.
Well, sure. I'm incredibly pure and innocent.
And I'm the one who says all of the nasty things.
Yeah.
And this week we thought we'd role reverse that. So I've found a series of incredibly unsexy stories, and I tasked you with finding some real dirty shit.
Yeah, sorry. There was very loud motorcycles.
It's because they're excited for this milestone.
There's been a few very loud motorcycles in a row. You might want to cut them out of my audio, because they're incredibly loud.
I'll try. I make no promises.
If they don't get cut out, then excuse the very loud motorcycles that are happening outside right now. There's a lot of people who are very excited for the fact that we've reached this episode, and they're just cheering me on from outside by revving their motorcycles.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. That's what's happening. So there you go.
Do you have story?
Yeah. Well, let's start with a bit of a travel story, shall we?
Ooh, okay.
And this is from news.com.au. And, well, look, it's about an ad. So, my phone's probably going to start playing autoplay things very loudly because it's news.com.au and that's what it does.
Thank you, Rupert.
So if that happens, that happens. So the headline goes, City's raunchy G-Spot ad is behind a tourism boom, creators say.
Huh, okay. And you've got my attention.
Have I titillated your mind?
That doesn't happen to me anymore. My mind has been tainted by years of exposure.
Sure.
But I'm definitely curious.
You're
I'll say that
curious about this G-Spot ad campaign.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know how they got that through the censors.
Well, essentially, this city... Now, I'd like you to try and guess which country or city this is. But this city has decided to brand itself as the G-Spot of Europe.
Okay. Is there anything more to go on, or am I just guessing?
Well, let's just take a guess. Which city or country would you say is the G-Spot of Europe?
The obvious choice is Amsterdam, but I feel like it shouldn't be that. I'm going to say...
Well, what what? So this is the analogy, right? The city is a G-spot. What do you think that means for the city?
That if you press it hard, it explodes.
Well, so then it's like a bomb button. Like a
Yes.
nuclear launch.
But for fun.
Sure. I know.
Let's say, I feel like Paris.
You're quite far off.
Let's say Moscow.
Still quite far off. I'm going to read.
Good.
So this is by Lauren McMahon, and it says, an international advertising campaign that branded Lithuania's capital the G-spot of Europe has been named the world's best campaign to promote a city a year after it sparked widespread outrage with its X-rated theme. The provocative ad for Vilnius, the little visited capital of the Baltic country, featured a young woman lying on bedsheets printed with a map of Europe and clutching a handful of cloth where Vilnius is located.
That's quite fun, actually.
It is a very good ad. It's just, yeah, it describes it exactly what it is. She does look like she's very pleased.
That's how you really want someone to feel in that moment, is you want them to say, I feel very pleased right now. That's
exactly
reaction.
that's exactly the reaction you're going for.
My immediate
I'm quite
response...
pleased.
It's like, that was solid. Thank you.
Yeah, it has to be a British accent. It can't be any other accent.
My immediate response to this is just overwhelming joy at the number... Because I'm certain this happened, was that this ad came out and a lot of dudes on Twitter started screaming about how it was fake news because the G-spot was a myth.
Sure.
And
well, that means Vilnius is a myth too.
Yeah, but I like this idea that this has been an extremely effective way of outing men on Twitter.
From going to Lithuania.
Well,
None
also
of them are
men
going to
who are
visit
bad
them.
at... Also men who are bad at sex, but
Sure.
that too. So none of them are allowed into Lithuania because they've proved themselves to be a cool, sexy country.
The reason they've branded themselves as the G-spot of Europe is pretty good. So it says, nobody knows where it is, but when you find it, it's amazing. Vilnius, the G-spot of Europe.
Fuck!
That's what it says on the ad.
That's extremely good.
It's very clever.
I like this a lot. I get why this won awards. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a very good advertising campaign. I mean, it's quite raunchy, but, it's very good.
Do you think that when you go for, like, a citizenship test in Lithuania, they're like, so what's your technique? It's not like an exam per se, as you just have to give, like, an oral presentation, as it were.
Yeah.
Just sort of explaining how to find such things and, like, what you do with them.
Yeah, exactly. And what you would... Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, like, something you personally are going to do. You just have to demonstrate that you could if you wanted to.
Yeah, that you'd know how to find it on a map, and that you'd know what to do when you arrived there. That's all you have to show. That's all. That's the important details.
Because Lithuania only accepts the best of people who are able to find their capital city.
Yeah, they don't want people who can't find the capital city visiting the capital city.
Exactly.
Of course not. Anyway, it continues and it says, so the advertisement launched in August 2018 and aimed to portray the city as the continent's undiscovered treasure. The reference to the elusive erogenous zone outraged many in the devoutly Catholic country of 2.9 million people, but it managed to impress judges at this week's International Travel and Tourism Awards in London, where it was named the best destination campaign for a city. Even more importantly, its creators said it was behind a tourism boom to Vilnius, which has seen a 12.5% increase in overall visitor numbers, CNN reported. You know what, though? I think half these people just want to prove to their girlfriends that they can find Lithuania on a map, and that's why they're going there.
Definitely that's what they're looking to prove that they can find.
Yeah, they just want to say, hey, I can find Lithuania, so, stick around, baby, is what they're saying.
Once you've explored all of the wonderful sights and attractions in Vilnius, head over to our sister city, Klitostan, and... and just have a party in there.
Oh, dear. So, Igna Romanovskian, that was probably very bad Lithuanian pronunciation, the director of the city's tourism board, Go Vilnius, told the CNN, while Vilnius isn't a well-known city, once visitors discover it, they enjoy their experience. It was specifically directed at a millennial audience, and while the language is suggestive, it was important for us to ensure the imagery used is not explicit. The messaging was not aimed to be taken directly.
Well, I mean, I think it should be, but, that's besides the point.
But they say that, and then they talk about what it said on the website, which I'm just going to jump into. It
please.
said, the campaign's website carries the poster's raunchy theme, enticing visitors to get down to business and build their personal pleasure map or skip the foreplay. I mean, the campaign's consistent. You've got to give them that.
I feel like this is one of those things where if you translated the website into English and back like 4 different times, eventually it would just say, like, come to Vilnius, fuck good.
Yeah, exactly. But the other thing on the website that's really good is it says the suggested activities in Vilnius are presented in a Tinder-style arrangement with with steamy category names such as Do It in the Dark for nightlife and Use Your Tongue for places to eat.
Fuck. That's extremely good.
Oh, God.
I can't make jokes about it. It's just objectively
really
very
good campaign.
This is extremely good advertising. I don't normally support...
We're out there talking about Vilnius, Lithuania's capital, and I ordinarily, in my everyday conversations, would not be talking about Lithuania's capital city.
I'll admit, I want to go there much more than I did 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Not because I think there's going to be any sensual pleasures there, just because I want to...
You want to support the campaign. You want the person who made this campaign to know you were going there specifically because of the campaign.
I want to know I just want them to know they did a good job.
Yeah, you just want them to feel good about themselves and feel validated in their efforts.
I know that they have got like all these fancy awards and stuff, but until host of Red Banner's podcast, Chris Bolson, comes to their city, is it really successful,
That's questionable, yeah.
Can I bring you a much less sexy story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Although first I'd like to just round off a few vaguely sensual headlines that I found.
Okay.
So this one is in Grazia, which is a food magazine.
Sure.
The headline is Eat Deeply Delicious Golden Balls.
Okay.
So this one's another one in Grazia. They do love their fun play on word headlines.
Yeah, sounds like it.
This one's about jumpers, and it says, feel that big knit energy.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to bring you a really unsexy story from a magazine called Car and Driver.
Oh, God. It's already unsexy. Car and Driver is what, like, every second dude would have on their dating profile, I would imagine.
Now,
probably car without driver.
I hear you criticizing Car and Driver, but I actually think, based on this one article, Car and Driver is an extremely good magazine.
Okay. Is it better than Cottage Life? Because, frankly, that's my personal favourite.
It's much more readable.
Okay, well, that's a good start.
One of our own, Britain's new Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, wrote about cars. Not well. By John Perley Huffman.
I just don't think anything related to Boris Johnson could be, even in the slightest bit, sexy.
No. I think that cars, for me anyway, not sexy. I know some people are into that, don't get it at all. Boris Johnson, whatever the opposite of sex is, I think it's Boris Johnson.
Yeah, just emitting a lot of energy that says, do not come near me.
The man who will forever be known as the nasty clown. In 2007, Boris Johnson, the man who is now Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, shared his experience of driving a Ferrari F430 with GQ.
Cool.
I'm going to do a posh English accent for this because it is Boris Johnson.
I'm excited to hear your posh English accent.
I seemed to be averaging a speed of X, and then the M3 opened up before me. A long, quiet Bonneville flat stretch, and I am afraid it was as though the whole country of Hampshire was lying back and opening her well-bred legs to be ravished by the Italian stallion.
Jesus Christ.
That's something that...
Do you remember Andrew Broad?
Vaguely.
Andrew Broad, the sugar daddy MP, who
my
sent some
favourite.
really unsexy text messages.
Yeah.
This Boris Johnson, writing, whatever he's writing for, is giving me big Andrew Broad energy. And that's not a good thing.
That Boris Johnson published this voluntarily.
Yeah, look, that's a significant bit worse.
Like, on purpose.
Yeah, look.
Yet before he became the Mayor of London in 2008, or the leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister this year, and perhaps by this was the time this is published, former Prime Minister. Not yet, but give it time. Johnson was an occasional automotive journalist. A journalist who let outrageous thoughts escape from under his blonde mop. And whose editors, lucky for us, did nothing to stop him.
Oh, jeez.
Just as I was... Wait, this is another quote from
Bojo.
Boris.
Yeah.
Just as I was accepting the admiring glances of some drinkers in a pub, I noticed I was entering one of these irritating traffic-calming devices, and remembered how exceedingly wide-rumped the Aston is. Crunch.
Is he one of those people who is into automobiles
I think he's from the movie Crash, and he does want to fuck a car very, very badly.
It's really not great. It's not a great thing.
Johnson's writing is drivel. Imitation
Sure.
Jeremy Clarkson at best. Like a true politician, he fears no cliché. Not only did he describe the F430 as the Italian stallion, he called his own Fiat 128 Coupe that too. In 2005, he reviewed the Aston Martin V8 Vantage for car. As soon as the editor of this magazine handed over the keys to the new Aston, I could tell he was having second thoughts, Johnson wrote. Do be careful, 007, he said, as I prized my...
Fuck.
As I prized myself into the all-leather buttock clenchers of the Vantage.
Oh my god, why?
Careful, I said, flicking a few switches
Chris,
with
I'm
Bond-style nonchalance, trying to find the ones for the oil slick and the tin tacks, not to mention the ejector seat. Of course I'll be careful. Johnson
Why did he write this?
Johnson returned the Aston with curb rash on a rear wheel. Johnson is not the first...
It's a nice touch to point that out.
Yeah.
I don't really know what curb rash is because I've never driven a car in my life, but I'm guessing it's when the wheel scrapes against something and then it gets
Yeah, I think it's just when you do
an
an incredibly shitty job of reverse parallel parking.
But curb rash does sound kind of like an STD. Which
It does. That's the car STD, is curb rash.
It's not ideal.
It's what you get for having sex with a car, however you manage to achieve that goal. But that's the outcome, is curb rash.
It doesn't sound like a very pleasant experience for anyone involved.
Johnson is not the first journalist turned Conservative Prime Minister, but we find it hard to imagine Winston Churchill writing that creepy bit about the fertile countryside and an Italian stallion.
I don't know.
I don't know, he was a pretty fucking weird dude. I think he would have...
Yeah, I watched that one movie about Winston Churchill, and look, I could imagine that movie portrayal writing that.
Oh, gosh. To be fair, he is played by Gary Oldman, who we did cancel, so, that tracks.
True. Good point.
Then the rest of the article is true to form of Car and Driver, just a series of cars. What I like about...
Well, okay. I mean, they know their audience. They know what they're doing. They write this article about the Prime Minister and his bad articles, and then they put cars in.
What I like about this, outside of just the very funny bad things that Bojo wrote...
Sure. Which is, inherently good thing to hear.
Yeah.
Depending on your perspective.
He wrote this for a competing magazine just called Car. So not only is this article a hit job on the English Prime Minister, it's also a hit job on Car magazine and their awful taste in writers.
A little bit of drama going down between Car and Driver and Car.
I like that Car and Driver is... I like to imagine Car came first, and then Car and Driver was like, well, I mean, we're getting the human angle.
We also include drivers, so suck on that.
Better.
Yeah.
But don't suck on it too hard or you'll get curb rash.
Jesus Christ. Oh dear.
You got a number 2 story?
Well, I've got lots of stories, but this is one that I kind of feel compelled to share today, even though it's not really related 100% to the theme that we're going for. But I guess, you know, after 69ing, perhaps there might be a baby afterwards.
That is what happens when you do that.
You just immediately get pregnant. That's what I hear on the grapevine.
Whenever people are like, my partner and I are trying to get pregnant and we're just having no luck, I'm like, you guys 69ing though? Because if you're just doing the old boring sex, that's not going to work.
That's not how, that's not how procreation works.
Gotta just spin that around and just like have a party up on that.
Absolutely. But look, I think... this story, I just really feel like I have to share because we've shared stories in a similar vein before. And this one I'm reading from The Guardian, but it comes out of America.
Yep.
And it says, small plane crashes in Texas during gender reveal stunt.
Oh, God. And by that I mean God looks down on us and thinks, for fuck's sake.
Why?
You morons. I did not give you
I think we talked about these gender reveal disasters before on this podcast, but it seems to be an ongoing theme that people are having, like, big dangerous disasters. I'm pretty sure we talked about one where someone got shot in a gender reveal party somehow.
Let's just set aside the gross heterosis normative nature of gender reveal parties right off the bat.
Yes.
So that we can proceed into making fun of them. We all accept that they're bad and problematic.
Absolutely, but that's why it's fun to make fun of them. And that's why it's funny... Well, it's not funny when a plane crashes, but it's funny when a gender reveal plane crashes.
Yeah. I think any outcome of a gender reveal is funny, no matter how violent it is.
Someone gets shot? Okay.
That's fine.
Gun violence isn't funny, but it's a gender reveal gun violence.
But gender reveal gun violence is pretty fucking funny.
It's pretty... the fact that, I don't understand this whole trend of, like, trying to one-up each other with revealing the gender. I mean, like, if you're the kind of person who's having a gender reveal party, as far as you care, it's a 50-50% chance, right? Yeah. Because I doubt anyone who's, like, got a more nuanced understanding of gender or sex would be throwing a gender reveal party. But anyway, so it's a 50-50% chance, and everyone just goes there and is, like, standing around for you to, you know, blow up the house with a pink flame or a blue flame.
I want to start a service where I provide extreme gender reveal stunts, but I will not be telling you what I'm going to do in advance. Like, you just hire me and you know that it'll be a big surprise.
Big surprise, and it will go wrong, so your party will go viral.
Well, it'll go wrong in inverted commas, but... it'll be entirely planned.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the outcome you're looking for.
Here's what I'm figuring, is I functionally want to be as to gender reveal parties as Jigsaw is to the Saw movies.
Okay. Well, that's it. So, what I'm getting at here, what I'm picturing, right, is, you know, in Saw, how sometimes they have to, like, cut open the person's stomach to get the key out. So... basically, the guests are all invited and chained in a room, and then you say, to get the key, you need to cut open this person's stomach and pull out, like, there will either be a pink or blue piece of rubber in there, and that will be the gender of the child. But you need to cut open the person first to get that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you need to each cut off 500 grams of your forearm and then put it in this scale... and then when the scale has finished balancing, then the light will come up pink or blue, and then you'll know.
When it's got the right amount of flesh in the scale.
But then, when the light comes up, it'll come up white because the prestige. I don't actually approve of gender reveal parties, and I'm not fucking telling you.
It's just like, just find out later.
Just find out later. Don't make your child... Don't paint the room a boy or a girl colour. Just paint it yellow like a cool person.
Or just paint it pink because it's a sick colour, and who cares if it's a boy or girl?
Fucking millennial salmon because it's objectively the best colour, and that's
according to Instagram it is, and you're going to want to Instagram your kid a shit ton. So you're going to want to have an Instagrammable room. So just here's how you decide what to buy for your baby's room. Is it Instagrammable? Yes, no. Okay, yes, you buy it. That's the simple way.
And you also probably want to keep the glass jar that contains 2/3 of your hand that I used when I was explaining to you why gender reveal parties are bad.
And you can hand that onto your child.
And say, this used to be part of my body, but then the gender reveal saw removed it from me. And now I understand more about the world.
Let's dive into this plane crash story.
Yeah, sure. I'll stop talking about doing horrible violence.
Yeah, well, that's... So look, it says, passenger injured as pilot slowed plane at low altitude to dump 350 gallons of pink water in stunt gone badly wrong. In another instance of a gender reveal stunt gone badly wrong, a small plane crashed in Texas after dumping about 350 gallons of pink water to indicate that a friend of the pilot was going to have a daughter.
Firstly, pink water sounds like a chemical weapon. Secondly,
it kind of does.
Dumping your pink water sounds like you have an STD yet again.
So you know how there's been a lot of bushfires in Australia at the moment?
Yeah, I'm familiar. It's very hot and very smoky, and I can't breathe very well.
Which isn't really ideal, considering, both of our hometowns are kind of in the mix there. But
yes.
You know how there was a plane in Turramurra, they're flying over Turramurra and dropped all that, pink fire retardant stuff.
Yes.
So that fire couldn't go there. What if the pilot was just doing a gender reveal for someone somewhere? And then everyone's like, oh, you're a hero, you stopped the fire. And he was like,
Yep, definitely.
Yep.
I have an idea, which is that I think we need to try and integrate these gender reveal parties into more, industries. I think we are working towards this world of, automation and, there's going to be no jobs, so we have to try and make it as efficient as possible.
Sure.
And one way is I think that, you can sign up on the firefighters' website to gender reveal one day, and next time there's a fire, you follow them to the fire, and the colour of the water they spray out is the baby that you're going to have.
Well, that's a very good idea. And then to be able to get that service, you have to be making a significant donation to the firefighters.
Yeah, pay $500 to the firefighters.
Our boys and gals and non-binary folk in yellow putting out the fires.
Visa, MasterCard and Amex. We don't take Afterpay because we don't trust it. But
we definitely do not take Bitcoin because people who have Bitcoin are losers.
Well, people with Bitcoin don't have children, so...
Well, that's kind of a valid point. I'm going to jump into the rest of the story before someone that's listening has Bitcoin and gets a little bit mad. I don't know if anyone of our listeners has Bitcoin.
If you have Bitcoin, stop fucking listening to this podcast.
If you have Bitcoin, can you give it to me, please? 1 Bitcoin.
All right, because then Alison has to stop being on this podcast, and then can you please find me a new co-host? Because I will not abide by a Bitcoiner.
According to a National Transportation Safety Board report into the crash, which happened near the town of Turkey on 7th of September, the pilot reported that while manoeuvring at a low altitude in an aerial applicator aeroplane, he dumped about 350 gallons of pink water for a gender reveal. The airplane got too slow, aerodynamically stalled, and impacted terrain and came to rest inverted. The pilot reported no mechanical failures or malfunctions before the plane crashed.
Can I say came to rest inverted is the wankiest way of saying crashed upside down that I've ever heard?
It smashed right in. Well, it says impacted terrain and came to rest inverted. You could just say smashed into the ground upside down.
Landed face first, did a sick flip, and landed upside down. That's what I just heard.
Exactly. But, I guess that's how the National Transportation Safety Board probably describes things in quite a...
narcs.
In quite a way. Well, they are narcs. They are narcs. This continues on, and it gives some other examples of some other things. For example, in Arizona in 2017, a man fired a rifle at a target that exploded, releasing blue powder. It also started a wildfire that burned 73 square miles of mostly Forest Service land.
Awesome.
Which is not ideal, starting a forest fire with your gender reveal, unless you've also planned a second gender reveal for the other baby in your wife's womb, which is dropping, 350 gallons of water right on the wildfire you started.
At the same time, as far as karmic retribution for this heteronormative act, it's hard to get much worse, huh?
Look, there's a lot of people that are, getting a lot of retribution for gender reveal parties, because gender reveal parties gone wrong is a whole genre of news. I'm just going to read this last bit here, because this bit I think is important. It said earlier this year, Jenna Kavonidis, a mother of 3 who in 2008 was one of the first people to hold her gender reveal, told The Guardian she had released something bad into the world. Aside from accidents, Kavonidis said she regretted the focus of such events on traditional notions of gender. Aww. I started to realise that non-binary people and trans people were feeling affected by this, she said, and I started to feel bad.
That's something. It's good
props
to learn
to
from
her,
you. You've
props to
grown
her.
Out of ignorance.
She unleashed a monster on the world and then felt a little bit bad for it, so that's okay.
At the same time, though, if the dude who invented chemical weapons was like, oh, I feel really bad because I invented chemical weapons, I don't know if we'd give him a pass on that.
Yeah, we might not. But I guess in this case it was probably just cutting into a little cake and wanting to share a cute coloured cake with your friends. Not dumping 350 gallons of pink water into somewhere.
I suppose that's true. It is our Tower of Babel moment, I think.
There's kind of the orders of magnitude involved here probably go from cutting a cake which was white on the outside and pink or blue on the inside to shooting your grandmother accidentally because that's another thing that happened.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's not ideal.
No, I feel bad for laughing at that.
No, that's really not great.
No, that's not great.
Or starting a wildfire and burning a lot of bushland.
Can I bring you a story from my new favourite magazine, Garden and Gun?
Okay. So we've got car and driver, two things that inherently go together, and garden and gun.
Garden and Gun.
Do they inherently go together? I don't know.
Unclear. I also don't see how this goes into Garden and Gun.
Okay, well, sure. Do share.
7 stylish gravy boats. How's this for a quintessentially autumnal addition to a Thanksgiving spread? The glass pheasant gravy boat by Godinger, complete with a silver-plated feather serving ladle, only $40 American.
Oh, just what I need for my Thanksgiving celebration.
This is the first time I've ever learnt about the cottage industry that is gravy boats.
Did you not know? Have you never seen a gravy boat before?
No, I've seen a gravy boat before, but I've never seen a gravy boat as ornate as one of these gravy boats.
But gravy boats, for you, are a means of delivering gravy to the plate. Yeah, they're a
purely functional gravy service device.
As opposed to,
a work of art.
A work of art that stands in the middle of the table, holding that meat sauce.
There's one gravy boat here that looks kind of just it's designed to look like a leaf.
Okay.
Naturalistic designs by the late 19th century Portuguese ceramist Rafael Bordello Pinheiro remain in production today, including his take on a gravy boat in the form of a cabbage leaf for $28.
Wow.
There's one called Shine Light. One called Shine Light that looks like the lamp from Aladdin, and it says,
Well, that's pretty cool.
A streamlined gravy boat in durable, sturdy Italian pewter, like this one from Match, is always home on a holiday table. Whether yours leans modern or traditional, $215.
At what age do you start caring about gravy boats? At what age does this become a thing that you suddenly care about?
Maybe it's because in America Thanksgiving's more of a thing, so like they have their gravy but it's more of a turkey-centric celebration. I feel like the gravy is surely just like...
Surely the turkey, that crispy boy, should be right in the middle of the table, surrounded by delicious vegetables.
I think what you need to do is buy a exciting new gravy boat like Fine Form by Richard Ginori for $430.
Sure.
And instead of filling it with gravy, I think you need to put the turkey on it and just kind of balance it.
And someone did, like, instead of actually carving the turkey, people have to, like, pour the turkey.
Exactly. Like, I think that we're not thinking outside the box enough. I want to make a liquid turkey for the future.
Just blend a full turkey, stick it right in that. This is very, very unsexy content. Stick that blended turkey right in the gravy boat and pour that onto your plate.
I mean, it'll probably taste good.
I'm sure it would.
It'll just be texturally extremely bad.
Yeah. Texturally, I'm not sure little fragments of bone would taste good sipping that down.
Well, I was assuming we weren't going to put 100% of the turkey into the blender.
Well, I was assuming we were going to put the bones of the turkey in there.
Okay, are we going to de-gut the turkey, or are we just going to do like a raw turkey?
No, we will put the full roast turkey in with like the stuffing and stuff. Just the whole thing
good.
in there. Maybe a little bit of water so then it blends more easily.
Oh, just put gravy in. That'll do the job.
Put the pan juice in there. Well, I guess gravy is essentially pan juice anyway, is it not? And
you may as well put a little bit of fight milk in there, just like make a milk turkey.
Oh, Jesus Christ. A milk turkey.
This has become my It's Always Sunny fanfic very quickly.
Well, look, a blended turkey with milk does sound like something that they would prepare on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I realize this story isn't especially funny. I was just really taken by how incredibly unsexual all of these ornate gravy boats are, both in terms of core concept and also in terms of once you've consumed the gravy from within, you will never be able to have sex again because you will never be able to stand up again.
Well, look, the gravy from within the gravy boat had better be good if you're spending $38 on the vessel to deliver it to your plate.
This is very true. Do you have another story for me, please?
I do have a story here, and it is a little bit old because it's related to Halloween. But, you know, when I think of, like, sexy times, I do think of, like, horror, and so that brings to mind Halloween, which also brings to mind sexy costumes.
Yeah, the sexiest emotion. Fear.
The sexiest emotion. Fear, and then costumes that try and emulate that emotion.
Costumes are sexy, yeah, I get that.
Costumes are good. And so, look, I'm reading from Bon Appetit because my sister has got me quite a lot into this prestigious magazine.
Ooh.
Through all of the content from the YouTube channel she shares. So, you know, that's a thing. Anyway, so this one is about Halloween costumes, and it says, sexy food costumes ranked by sexiness. And this is by Alex Beggs for Bon Appetit.
I'm interested.
What food, if you had to dress as a sexy food, what food would you say is the most sexy?
Are we talking as what food is the most sexy, or what costume of food is the most sexy?
Well, what food is the most sexy that would inspire you to make a sexy costume of it?
I mean, like, peach is the obvious choice. Peach, eggplant.
Well, thanks to that movie. Thanks to Call Me By Your Name, it has an eggplant. Thanks to
Peach
the
has
emojis.
both Call Me By Your Name and just the emoji of a butt.
Well, that's true.
And also Call Me By Your Name took that more literally than was necessary.
Yeah, look. Yeah, Look,
In,
the peach...
in what was a fairly sexy movie, that was not a sexy scene.
Maybe that's why they put that in there. Just to, like...
To calm everyone
get everyone
down.
to pipe down a little bit and be like, look, okay, now we're going to put this in here and you're going to be thoroughly confused.
In my theatre, everyone just laughed hysterically the entire time.
I haven't read 50 Shades of Grey, but there was apparently a scene in 50 Shades of Grey where, like, Christian Grey takes out her tampon.
Yes.
Yes, and look, I feel like that's the purpose of that scene was to just kind of calm down the ladies who are enjoying 50 Shades of Grey a little bit too much.
Yeah, they're like, you're thinking about all this nice, lovely stuff, and then he's just like, periods, though.
Now, periods, and I'm just going to go right ahead and pull that one out, covered in blood. Lovely, perfect.
Yum, 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 yum.
Beautiful, sexy imagery. So, with sexy imagery in mind, let's jump into this article about sexy Halloween costumes by Bon Appetit. Have you ever caught a glimpse of a pineapple for a certain angle and felt something? I mean, in your private parts?
Actually, now that I think about it, it's got that, like, spiky goth hair. Like, the spikes look like goth hair to me.
Well, it is very edgy, isn't it?
It's got that, like, boy band look. Not like boy band, but like that 2002 emo band look to it.
Oh, look, it's got the pop-punk boy band aesthetic.
Yeah, like, I could get into that.
And that's something I can get into as well.
Yeah.
I mean...
Alright, yeah, okay, I'd fuck a pineapple. Alright, yes.
But pineapples are very acidic, so I probably would not do that if I were you.
No. Oh, alright, please continue. I'm just gonna die inside a little bit.
Ever been turned on by a greasy, hot carton of spicy chicken nugs?
No.
Is sexy food something
I can confidently say no
about...
to that one. That to me, it's like weed of food. Like, it's one of those things where it's like wine. Wine can be sexy. You can, like, imagine having, like, a glass of it and, like, sashaying around the kitchen or something.
Yeah,
There's no sexy way for a person to smoke weed. There's no sexy way for a person to eat chicken nuggets. It's objectively impossible.
That's true. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. It says, is sexy food something we're all thinking about but not talking about? Obviously, because Halloween slinks around every year and we're forced to face our deepest subconscious sexual desires, wanting to bang food. Pineapples, spiked seltzer, vegan hamburgers, nothing is safe from the horny manufacturers of rayon landfill-bound sexy costumes. Since I'm happily admitting this seasonal fetish, I'm going to take the liberty of ranking a few food costumes of bisexiness on a scale of just friends to 5, do me now.
Okay.
And we're ranking costumes not on the nice models wearing them who are equally sexy in the eyes of the Lord. I like that she pointed out that all the models are sexy, so she's not judging based on the models.
Yeah, all of the models are equally sexy.
In the eyes of the Lord, she says.
In the eyes of God. In the eyes of her, she'll never tell.
Which is great. So the first costume that she's reviewing is a sexy pineapple costume, as was alluded to earlier.
Yep.
And look, I'm not going to read the whole article because I think you should go read this article for yourself. It's a very funny article. And the writer who wrote this, Alex Beggs, funny gal.
Can we just, like, run through a series of the options? Because I want to see whether I can imagine they're sexy for each one. Like, pineapple, we've established, yes.
Pineapple.
Yes.
Okay.
Would do.
You can read her review of this yourself. But she does say it's only one sexy. So you'll have to find that out for yourself.
Okay.
The second one is Sexy Beyond Burger.
No, because there's meat involved, and I think that, ironically, I know that people are just like, oh, yeah, that's sausage, but it's like, no, I don't get it, and I don't like it, so that's not sexy to me. It's too...
But it's Beyond Burger. It's plant-based.
That's somehow worse.
Yes! Plant-based
That's like
meat.
if someone's like, here, use this hemp-based condom. Like, it's just not something that I'm interested in.
Well, if someone said, use this hemp-based condom... I would immediately be sceptical of whether or not it was effective.
Yes, that's very true.
Because it does sound like something that's come out of a hippie commune somewhere.
And I'd also be sceptical of whether these plant-based burgers are effective. No, they're fine.
I'm sure it tastes fine. I haven't tried it. I will try one eventually.
I once had someone who's a vegetarian friend take me to Lord of the Fries, and they hyped it up so much. And it was okay, but, like, I don't know, man. I just can't. Morally, I wish I was vegetarian, but I lack the self-control.
I do like, at Lord of the Fries, the tight chiller fries.
The chips are good. It's just that all of the fake meat's not.
The fake meat's not good, but the fries are good.
Yeah. And I'm glad they put that in the title.
Yeah, not Lord of the plant-based nuggets, because otherwise it would be a little bit disappointing.
Lord of the fuggets.
Jesus. The next one is sexy cauliflower pizza.
They're making some interesting choices here.
Well, it's specifically cauliflower-based crust. It's plant-based. There's no bread, no gluten involved. So is a gluten-free pizza more sexy than a standard pizza?
I actually think so. I think that there's like a cleanliness to that. I don't think bread I'm like too oily, too carbohydrates. Whereas I think like a cauliflower plant-based pizza, that's just like it just got out of the shower. It's nice and clean. Like we can work with that.
Right, sure. The next one is a sexy rosé bottle.
Yes.
Which I will read the entire review for this one. It just says, the font, sexy rating, 1. So clearly the font on the bottle is not sexy.
What kind of font is it?
It looks a little bit like Curls MT. So I can kind of see why it's not sexy.
I wonder what that person thinks a sexy font is. Like a Futura, like an angular.
Chiller.
Yeah. Windings. Because you can't understand it, but you just want to get to know it better.
You really want to know what that says. And the last item of clothing that she's got here is a sexy fried egg.
No.
No, fried egg can't be sexy?
Not in my book.
How would you have to cook an egg for it to be sexy?
Although, it can look a bit like a boob.
Okay.
So, I guess
if you're really desperate.
If you really squint and you're just also drunk, it does look a bit like a boob, so maybe that could do it for you.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of ifs in that situation.
Can I give you a story, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Close us out. This is from The Independent by Chloe Ferrand. Student presents thesis in underwear after professor says her shorts are too short. So, we've had a lot of fun here today.
Dear.
We've talked about some sexy topics, some not sexy topics, but here we're going to reclaim our power and our bodies.
Absolutely.
To tell the man to go fuck himself.
Well, that's always a good way to use it, I would say.
A student has stripped down to her bra and underwear during her thesis presentation in protest against her professor's comments that her choice of clothing was inappropriate. Letitia Chai, a senior student at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, took off her clothes during her presentation, which was filmed on Facebook Live to stand up against oppressive beliefs and discrimination.
Nice.
Ms. Chai organised the protest after her teacher allegedly questioned her choice of clothing during a test run of her thesis presentation and told her, "Your shorts are too short."
God damn it. Because, do you know what? Like, actually, I'm a little bit legitimately angry because I remember when I was doing my teaching certification.
Yeah.
We had, like, this was, by the way, it was like 40 degrees and we were in a tin shed room in UNSW that didn't have air conditioning. So it was quite a hot and sweaty experience. And as you do when it's a hot and sweaty day, you wear shorts. You wear shorts that are nice and loose and airy. Anyway, we were doing like a prac teaching thing that day just in front of the other student teachers in the room. And one of the guys, like at the end of the like session, we were giving feedback to each other and his feedback was like, you should wear more appropriate clothing when you're teaching.
That's wild to me because I've never seen someone dress less sexually than you. Like,
this is the really funny thing was because this wasn't even like, there weren't even real students in the room. This was in front of the other student teachers, and this is like a 50-year-old dude whose first piece of advice was, please dress less sexy.
Maybe he wasn't saying less sexy. Maybe his objection was to how colourful your clothes are, and he was like, I want
his
more
objection
grey.
was probably to the fact that I looked like I was not dying wearing long pants in the hot weather.
See, that's the problem, is he likes his women dying, so...
Sure, well, That's not ideal for me because I don't
No.
like to be dying. I like to be alive. So I would say I don't have the confidence that this girl had, but yes.
Describing the incident in a Facebook post, Chai wrote, "She proceeded to tell me in front of my whole class that I was inviting the male gaze away from the content of my presentation and onto my body. I think that I was so taken aback that I didn't really know how to respond," she told. Miss Chai said that some students in her class were also surprised by the teacher's comment, but one international student agreed with the teacher and told her she had a moral obligation to dress more conservatively in respect for her audience.
I mean, here's the thing, right? This is a bloody practice presentation.
Yeah.
She's probably going to wear, like, professional wear at her presentation for her thesis. Like, that's, you know, that's the thing. So
Presumably.
It's pointless anyway. Presumably, you know, when you go to your practice presentation in front of your classmates, you're probably just wearing whatever the fuck you wore to class that day.
Yeah.
But when you're doing the real presentation, you would make an effort to look nice and presentable.
Unless you're Miss Chai, in which case you pick the nuclear option and you decide to go almost all natural, which I really respect, actually. I love
It's like
this.
when someone makes a comment and tells you to do something that you probably were already going to do, you suddenly want to do that less. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
I get you.
When my sister and I were in a food court and we were just, you know, finishing eating our food and there was like this middle-aged woman hovering near us. And we were, like, standing up and picking up our bags and we were about to grab our trays full of rubbish to take them to the bin. And the middle-aged woman was like, you guys are going to take your rubbish away, aren't you? And I have never felt more like leaving my rubbish on the table than I did in that moment.
I get that. It's that feeling of being doubted and you're just like...
It's that feeling of, like, her assuming we're not going to take our rubbish away, so therefore I want to leave my rubbish there.
Just to spite them.
To spite her. So I understand completely this girl's feeling to go completely nuclear, opposite reaction. Great, perfect. Even if she was going to dress professionally at the actual presentation, you know what? I respect her choice.
Needless to say, I was shook, Miss Chai wrote. After she left the classroom, her teacher came out to talk to her, and according to Miss Chai, she asked her what her mother would think of the outfit.
Just doubling down.
Yep. What would
I mean, like, if you were giving if that was seriously your worry as the bloody doctor, you could just write an email and say, "Hey everyone, please remember that the dress code for the thesis presentation is business casual," or something like that. Like, problem solved without being like without calling out someone in a very prudish way in the front of the class.
What would my mum think? My mum is a feminist gender sexuality studies professor. She has dedicated her life to the empowerment of people in all gender identities, so I think my mother would be fine with my shorts, she wrote.
Absolutely.
When
I love it.
When asked what she was going to do, Miss Chai replied, "I'm going to give the best damn speech of my life."
And oh boy did she.
I don't think we can end episode 69 on a more powerful and positive note than this,
No, I don't think so.
body positivity, fuck the patriarchy kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, I think that's a great place to leave this because, you know what? Yes, 100% agree with every choice that she's made in this story.
do we want to just wrap it up there then? I feel like
Yeah.
this is a good message to close out on.
It is a good message to close out on.
All right.
Thanks for sticking with us for 69 episodes, by the way.
Thank you. And the message of our show, and that's definitely a message that's been running through the entire thing and not one from the last 30 seconds, is, you know, don't let people tell you what to wear and also feel comfortable in your own body more than I do.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram at Red Menace Cast or on Facebook at The Red Menace Podcast. Please tell your friends to listen to the show. We've got 69 episodes up, so that's a fun...
well, that's one before 70.
One
if you
before
know what
70.
I mean.
Yep, that's what it is. And it's also just like, you know, a good advertising talking point for the next week. You just say, hey, this podcast has just hit the big old 6-9 milestone.
And then you can say it's real nice.
You can say it's
real
nice.
nice stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
And actually, before we go out, I just wanted to quickly remind all our listeners that the boa constrictor is still on the loose in Sydney.
Fuck,
There's still
kill me.
a big snake out there crawling around. So, yeah. I did look for updates, and there is no updates. He's
Nope.
still on the loose.
Still out there.
Still
Please
out there, guys.
buy our merch at tpublic.com and then 69 each other while you're wearing it. I can think of no better use for our products.
Oh dear.
Than to
And
help.
while you're doing that, remember the boa constrictor is still out there.
And remember, when you're 69ing, use protection, because that is how you get pregnant.
Yeah, you also don't want to get curb rash.
Or coverage.
Oh dear.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, don't get curb rash, guys.
Don't get curb rash. Good luck and good night.